David Benavidez just defeated Benavidez-Andrade, and after his very dominant and extremely impressive performance, genuinely a performance I was super impressed by, it has confirmed something I already believed and something I was already preaching prior to this fight, and that is that David Benavidez beats Canelo Alvarez. Yes, this might be a slightly bold take, not a super bold take, because I think a lot of people agree with me, even though I would say Canelo would still be a slight favorite if they fought. But I truly believe in my heart now that David Benavidez defeats Canelo Alvarez. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown why. I'm not going to go make the type of detailed prediction I would make for Benavidez and Andrade like I did when that fight was happening previously, because this fight hasn't happened yet, hasn't been set yet, so I don't want to go too into detail, but I want to go into detail enough to where you can see where I'm coming from. So David Benavidez looked tremendous, first of all, against Andrade. I want to quickly go over that. He had a little bit of issues early, which I knew would happen, but once he figured Andrade out, which I said would happen, he took over, except he did it much earlier than I expected, and I was actually getting a little concerned for Andrade's health, so I'm very glad the fight was stopped in the corner, because I was actually getting concerned for Andrade's health. It was that type of beatdown. You could tell in his body language he wasn't reacting to those shots well. The fight went 3-4 more rounds. I would genuinely be concerned for him, so I'm very glad the fight got stopped, and I don't think Andrade quit or anything like that. Some people are accusing him of that. Not too many people are, but some people are. He definitely didn't quit. He was getting beaten down. He had no chance of winning the fight. Great stoppage from his corner. He looked great, and a big reason why I would favor David Benavidez over Canelo Alvarez is due to his size and pressure. Canelo Alvarez is not a guy who throws a lot of punches. He's a guy who can get outworked for sure. And we saw even against Jermell Charlo, there was points where Charlo was just outworking him, and Charlo's not even a high output guy. Yes, Canelo won pretty much every round of that fight. I think I maybe gave Charlo 2 rounds at most, if that, maybe 1 round. But the point is, Canelo could be outworked. He gets outworked a lot in his fights. Except the only difference is the guys of high output that Canelo fights never have power and are never stronger than him. When you look at John Ryder, he had a higher output than Canelo Alvarez. When you look at Billy Joe earlier in the fight, he had a higher output than Canelo. There's a few guys who had higher outputs than Canelo Alvarez, but they had no power, no strength, and we're genuinely not even close to the level of David Benavidez. Benavidez, if he fights Canelo Alvarez, I'm very confident will outwork him, will push him back, will get him on the ropes, will throw combinations and barrages of shots. And I don't see him stopping Canelo. I don't even see him dropping Canelo, but I see him outworking him to a very tough decision. Yes, I know Caleb Plant won probably 4, I wouldn't say 5. He won a good 4 rounds against David Benavidez, but you can argue he won about 5 rounds against Canelo before getting stopped as well. I feel David Benavidez genuinely has the tools to beat Canelo, and I genuinely would pick him to do so. I see him just outworking Canelo. I don't think Canelo's going to be able to keep up with that output. And even though Benavidez could be caught, his defense isn't tremendous. We saw Andrade land some nice shots on him last night. Caleb Plant didn't even land the type of shots that Andrade was landing. Andrade landed a couple really good shots, especially during the exchanges. But Benavidez does have a good chin, but that's not the point. Canelo does hit harder than Andrade, in my opinion. But I don't see Canelo having the power to put David Benavidez away. I really don't. I don't see him having the fundamentals to outclass him on the outside like he did with Danny Jacobs. I don't see him doing that. And I think if he tries to fight with Benavidez, which is his best opportunity, that's Benavidez's game. That's what Benavidez loves to do. He loves to fight in the pocket. He loves to brawl on the inside. We saw whenever glimpses of that happened in the Andrade fight, which, by the way, I want to mention was last night. That was a great fight, by the way, Benavidez-Andrade. That was a really good fight. Solid, entertaining match. Great card overall. A lot of really good fights on that card. Anyways, once Canelo gets on the inside and tries to fight Benavidez, that is Benavidez's game. That's what he loves to do. That's his favorite type of fighting, and that's where he's the most comfortable. He's more comfortable brawling on the inside than Canelo is, in my opinion. Canelo tries to brawl with Benavidez, he's going to get battered, I think, in the inside. I think he's going to take a bit of a beating. And if he tries fighting him on the outside, he may not get beaten up as badly, but Benavidez loves pressuring his opponents. He loves walking them down. And even though Canelo's defense is good, and he might make Benavidez miss wildly at points and even counter him really good, unless he completely lands the perfect counter shot on Benavidez, makes him miss and lands like a beautiful hook or something and puts him away, I don't know what he can do on the outside against Benavidez. He could maybe win a few rounds here and there, but I see him getting outworked. On the inside, I see him getting outworked. I'm genuinely very confident in picking David Benavidez to beat Canelo Alvarez, and I am picking him to beat Canelo if they fought. I think Canelo would make it a tough fight, of course. It would be very tough. But Benavidez, I feel, has more tools. He's a stronger fighter. He hits harder. He throws more punches. He's more aggressive. He's stronger. And I think Canelo is a very strong guy, by the way. I think one thing Canelo could do is he could try to bully the bully. He could try to walk Benavidez down, but that's not going to be easy, man. It's not going to be easy to walk Benavidez down. I don't know if Benavidez is going to let himself get walked down by Canelo Alvarez. It's possible, but I can't really see Canelo Alvarez successfully walking Benavidez down. Now, I'll say this. If he can somehow push Benavidez back and walk him down, if he can comfortably walk Benavidez down, Canelo got this fight. He really could win this fight. If he figures out a way to walk Benavidez down and get Benavidez on the back foot, Canelo definitely can win this fight. But I don't see him being successful in doing so. He'll try to do that. Benavidez will stand his ground and land shots on the inside and pivot away and counter him and go to the body and land barrages of shots and combinations. David Benavidez is such a dangerous fighter, man. I'll say this. I would pick Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev to beat Benavidez at 175, especially Bivol. Beterbiev, I'm not as sure now as time is passing. But Canelo Alvarez, and also Canelo's slowing down a little bit, man. I mean, guys, Triple G at 41 years old, 40 years old, however he was when he fought Canelo last time around, he won a good amount of rounds in that fight, especially in the second half of it. Canelo Alvarez looked very poor against that version of Triple G. That version of Triple G would stand no chance against Benavidez. Benavidez would batter a 40-year-old Triple G. Canelo Alvarez, I'm not going to say went life and death, but the judges had the fight 7 rounds to 5, 8 rounds to 4. There were some swing rounds in there. I know that some people had to fight like 10-2 Canelo. Those people are delusional. It wasn't that wide. Canelo Alvarez looked very poor against a washed 40, 41-year-old Triple G. Dave Benavidez is not a 40-year-old Triple G, 41-year-old Triple G. He's going to come to fight. He's going to, stylistically, he's terrible for Canelo Alvarez, man. Terrible style matchup for Canelo. You look at Dmitry Bivol, when he walked Canelo down, got him on the ropes and landed those combinations. Yes, Bivol is much more precise than Benavidez. I feel he has higher ring IQ, and I feel like he has better fundamentals overall, but he doesn't have the power of Benavidez. He doesn't have the aggressiveness of Benavidez. He doesn't have the punch output of Benavidez. If Benavidez gets Canelo on those ropes the way Bivol did, it's going to be a completely different scenario. He's going to hit Canelo with a lot of great shots. He might get countered along the way. There's a chance Canelo could get a one-punch knockout, right? But I don't think Canelo has that level of power. He's a big puncher at 160, and he does have some power at 168, but I don't think he has that much power. I mean, this guy only dropped Jermell Charlo one time, and Jermell Charlo is moving up from 154, man. I mean, Brian Castano almost dropped Jermell Charlo, and Canelo was only able to make him take a knee briefly in the 7th round. It wasn't even a legit knockdown in the aspect of he had so much power behind it that he sent Charlo to the canvas. No, it was more that just Charlo was hurt and he took a knee to get time to recover. It wasn't even that type of knockdown where he sent him down like Canelo did to Caleb Plant. So Canelo Alvarez, he has power. He could counter Benavidez. He could catch him with something big, but I do not see him having the power to change this fight, and I don't see him having the fundamentals to escape Benavidez's work. I'm going to say this much. I think Caleb Plant is much better on the back foot than Canelo Alvarez is, and Benavidez was able to dominate him when he was on the back foot. I feel when it comes to pressure fighting and fighting up close, Benavidez likely hasn't fought someone on Canelo Alvarez's level. He hasn't fought someone as good at brawling on the inside and as good at fighting on the inside and trading upstairs and downstairs. He hasn't. But I also don't think Canelo Alvarez will be able to keep up with Benavidez. Yes, Benavidez hasn't fought someone on Canelo's level, even though he is getting closer if Plant and Andrade back to back. Yes, he hasn't fought someone on Canelo's level, but I don't think Canelo Alvarez would be able to handle Benavidez's output, guys. I don't think he'd be able to handle his strength, his power, his output, his aggressiveness. Got to realize Benavidez is only 26 too. He's getting better. I told you guys he's getting better, and this was probably his best performance overall. He looked phenomenal against Benavidez-Andrade. So this is why I think Benavidez is going to defeat Canelo Alvarez if they do fight in May. This is the fight that needs to get made. Yes, I love Terrence Crawford. He's my favorite fighter in the sport now that Triple G is basically out the door. I love Terrence Crawford. If that Crawford fight happens, which I don't even think it should happen in the first place of Canelo, make that fight for September. Crawford fights once a year anyways. Have Canelo Alvarez fight David Benavidez in May. Cinco de Mayo. That's the fight to make. That's probably a top 3 fight in the sport at this point. I cannot wait, and I really hope it happens. Thank you guys for watching. God bless if you made it this far. God bless you in general. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.